Welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Brandon here with Colton, and today we're putting out the Alice gameplay based off of the Sword Art Online 10th anniversary deck that we had debuted earlier this week. And Colton, what are we facing off against today?
The best Konosuba deck.
Pile of Konosuba cards. Got it. So I will start off. I don't have too many zeros in hand currently, but I have just like the right ratio of zeros to be able to like adapt to however this kind of early game goes, whether you push me ahead or kind of stall me out a little bit here at zero. I kind of have the tools to kind of keep moving where I need to go. I also have like 3 climaxes in hand, so I can pretty effectively and easily loop combo here with the resources I have.
And the goal for my deck is to plus 0 as much as possible. So we put 2 plussing zeros down, hoping to either get some free stock or proc a coin flip. And neither of those happened. So I'm already at 3 cards in hand. We're off to a great start.
So I draw into the Asuna, which is a fantastic 0 card to be able to mill through the deck a little bit quicker. It also could potentially get me events. It didn't this time, but it was allowing me to be able to at least move a little bit faster through. I do end up stocking one of the 2/1 Alice's here, which is a little annoying because that means it's probably not going to make its way into the deck to be able to just kind of spawn it out. So that's a little annoying, but at the same time, like, there's still 3 others. We're still pretty good. We have the 3 stock that we need for the Alice Brainstorm when we get there. So we're kind of in a decent spot with that, where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I think that it's worth noting that Alice, for all of its power and all of its high ceiling, it does have brick potential as well. Like, it can just not get what it needs because it triggers 2 Alices and all of a sudden it's in trouble. That's not going to happen a ton, but there will be games with Alice where just everything goes wrong and Alice just doesn't really present much of a board. It will happen. It happens to Kanata Marine, right? In the same way. That's something to note, whether you're playing into it or if you are playing Alice. That definitely can happen. But this is what Alice wants to do. It wants to mill through its entire deck, use those events to get all the way down and shuffle back those Alices. But again, because of, the one in stock, it becomes a little bit more difficult. You go back here, you're 5 out of 3.
I'm 2 out of 5 right now. I'm shuffling back another one plus an extra to be 3 out of 7. I'd rather be 4 out of 7, but obviously I don't have access to it. And then the first one whiffs, which is kind of annoying. So at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, what do I need to do to get there? Especially because I want to have at least some cards in deck. So when I play the combo down, I have access to about the entire waiting room and able to refresh the deck during the combo turn. So I have to actually shuffle back twice here to be able to get the ratio that I need in my deck to be able to spawn out the ones there. If I could loop it again, that would also be pretty cool. I have the Leafhuts, so I could potentially have done that. I do not end up doing that here.
Well, at some point you have to make the decision about, okay, how many resources am I willing to commit to making this happen?
Yeah.
And you blow up my whole board because you've dropped, I think all 4 copies of your Alice Brainstormer at this point.
Yeah.
But because that's a decision you have to make, right? Is how much am I willing to concede in terms of hand size in order to make Alice happen?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a consideration you're going to have to make every time you play Alice.
Because like what I could have done instead of shuffling back 2 zeros, I could have shuffled back the early play and have the 2 copies of the early play in deck instead. So that way it would be guaranteed when the play the Leafa down, ditch the Aegil to guarantee another Alice or the level 1 shuffle back. So I could have done a 5th copy of it just to try to get that extra combo on field. But ultimately,
Hmm.
it just would have ended up about the same spot. I think we're okay, especially because you're still level 0 here.
Yeah. I do triple cancel, which helps you considerably, I think.
As much as I didn't get to push damage here on you, you also can't really touch my board here at 0.
Right, right. If I had been at level 1, I would have had access to some pieces to be able to potentially contest one of the Alices. But as it is, all I have is, the 0 that I popped back into my hand, and I'm going to side with it so that I can just generate the stock and try to proc the coin flip on the backside, which I do.
I used the brainstorm effect here because I was actually trying to mill cards into waiting room, so when I combo, I have enough cards to be able to actually like do the combo. But I managed to hit the third Alice. I was just pure luck. So I'm actually able to triple combo here on the follow up swing, which I technically over in hand.
I proc my coin flip at the wrong time. This is supposed to happen at the beginning of draw step, not at the beginning of attack step, but didn't make an actual difference. I get just enough cancels, and then you push me to 1-6, which is honestly optimal for me because I get max compression into the next deck. I don't clock, so I use my friendship crystal event to go get my level 2 killer. I wish I could get a second copy, but I have to get a Union and a Megamine off of it. Usually that card also forces you to reveal hand, but that's not practical in Weiss Fight, so we kind of skipped that part.
Yeah, essentially, Colton's already seen what's gone into my hand, with the exception of the climax of the Argo. So he's already aware of what my hand is.
Yeah, so my whole goal here at this point is just remove an Alice, kind of one Alice at a time. Try to, I get my reverse so I can proc the whiz in the back. I can, give that to the level 2 killer so I can salvage another level 2 killer for next turn. Basically, I'm planning on just kind of looping that forever until I can slam my endgame. And hopefully just the natural compression of good refresh point and triggering as few climaxes as possible is enough.
Mm-hmm.
My deck is bad. I love this deck. I have won a locals with this deck, but it's not very good.
So I don't even try to get a second Alice in play. I just want to loop the combo with double and the early play healing off the one to just try to stay at 2 as long as possible. Because I don't think you're going to be able to contest board very efficiently.
Not efficiently, no. All I really have are those level 2 killers. And they're really nice because they can, punch a bunch of power into another lane because when they get a reverse, well, one, when they attack, they give power. And two, when they get reversed or get a reverse, depending on what I have in my back row, they can give even more power. And we're actually going to see that here. I'm actually going to be able to pop over one of the Alices here and swing at 13 with this 2-1. The whiz gives an additional 2 on attack. And because both it and the 2-1 are also going to crash, the back row whiz procs, giving Union an additional 1,000 for each of them. And it's also a 2-soul, which is fun. The level 2 killer is a 2-soul.
I do back it up here just because I'm actually able to kind of deny that power.
Sure. And for me, I don't care. Like, I force the backup at least, I guess. You're at 11 stock. It doesn't matter. No matter what happens, I need to live through an Argo. And unfortunately, I trigger 2 of the 3 CXs I have in my deck.
Which then leaves me in the interesting condition, right? Because I'm now at 3-0. I have triple Argo in hand. I don't have the full set of resources for triple Argo. I can do double and then a Musashi. So I take the moment to debate, what do I do with this? Do I actually just go triple combo I draw into the CX for Alice. I'm like, I could Alice another turn, but I think I'm better off trying to close you out here. Like, I recognize you have 2 climaxes at least in the top 3 cards of your deck. So it's like, if I can just power through one with Argo, then
You think I could at least?
yeah.
You've only seen 6.
Well,
So
and there's 4 climaxes in waiting room, so I'm like, the odds are there's a number of them there. So I'm like, if I can power through the top, and like I debate another second, like, do I actually go triple combo or do I just hold on to another one just in case? I'm like, no, you just go with it, just go. If I'm gonna close, I'm gonna close. So, which
yeah, you get your Musashi burn, so I'm going to 3/3, and now I just need to just cancel out essentially because you're presenting lethal in both lanes.
3/6. The actual swing cancels Musashi for 3, which is enough. So that's kind of how the game ended up going. Alice being able to kind of loop that combo over and over again to generate the massive pile of stock. Being able to turn that stock into cards in hand is the way to be able to just kind of power out Argo at the end. Because Argo doesn't need a whole lot of stock, but it needs those cards in hand. So being able to just try to keep as many cards in hand as possible throughout the game and generate through just looping that combo over and over again.
And that's where running 8 choice triggers can help as well.
Because like if I didn't back up that last turn, I could have potentially triggered choice on either one of those 2 swings to get that third Argo in place.
Which is one of the reasons why it's important when you're playing into Alice to try to force them to use as many cards as possible. Any Alices you can beat on board equal cards that they have to use out of hand, the Alice player, to replace them. And the more cards you force Alice to use, the less powerful the Argo finisher in particular is. But that's it. Thank you for joining us. I don't know what's next. So that's it. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back on Tuesday with a Clock Talk. We'll talk about the tournaments from this weekend, as well as the new release of Licorice Recoil and what the release schedule looks like going forward. The following Thursday, we'll have 5 cards, 5 minutes. And then the next week, what's the next deck that you're doing, Brandon?
Psychono.
We'll have gameplay for that in 2 weeks. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And have a good one.
We'll see you then.